to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. Today, I have a tell-it-like-it-is, no-nonsense lady with me, Rachel Cannon, the principal of Rachel Cannon Limited in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I want to share with you what her PR rep said when she pitched me to have Rachel on the show. She wrote, "Rachel is all about classic, fresh, and smart design. She has a degree in interior design and art history from LSU, and she is very methodical with her design process. She practices and focuses on making looks livable, and she believes that they don't have to be exclusive. Based in Baton Rouge, she has clients ranging from Palm Beach to Palm Springs, largely focusing on working professionals." And here was the clincher. Wait for it. She said, "What I love about Rachel is that she's very organized, methodical, and streamlined, something that many creatives strive to be but have trouble achieving. Not to mention, she has a tell-it-like-it-is personality. She's very straightforward despite her sweet, deep South roots." So I'm going to say, slam dunk. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I'd love to interview Rachel. And the thing is, her rep is right. On the show today, Rachel tells it straight about how in the beginning she was so frustrated getting only the jobs that didn't seem to have any budget, and how she spent money that she didn't yet have on a business coach, and how she ultimately learned that when she learned how to identify her skills, she could then attract and market to her ideal client, and the tides began to turn for her in her business. There's lots here. Rachel is all about the systems. Listen as she describes how the clearer she got in having them and in telling her clients about her systems, the more her business grew and the more she grew confident and established. It's a terrific conversation. And I'm just going to say, how can I possibly mention the word systems and not remind you about my Doma Studio? If you still don't have a tool to help you streamline your project management, my only question is, what are you waiting for? My Doma has everything you need, from product sourcing to product info saving to invoicing to client and vendor communications. And I have to say, recently, a new designer asked me, she said, "If I only have one client, do you think I need to start with my Doma Studio yet?" And I said, yes. What better time to work with the tool to learn all the features and the benefits while you're not at all overwhelmed? If you use it for the one client and you can really fully utilize all of its capabilities, when you have your second and your third and your fourth clients, your mind will be free to do, not spin in circles. So yes, I say, go try My Doma Studio now, even if you only have one client. And to do that, go to www.mydomastudio.com/a-well-designed business. That's www.mydomastudio.com/a-well-designed business, and get started on the right foot now. Okay, let's meet Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Thanks for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Rachel, I'm interested in you because you look like you're doing some good things down there in Baton Rouge. And first of all, let's just establish, is it Louisiana or Louisiana?
That's so funny that you're asking me that because I was on another podcast a few weeks ago and they literally started it with the
No
exact same
way.
question.
No
So
way.
we say Louisiana.
Louisiana. Oh, you do. So
Yes,
who the heck
yes.
says Louisiana?
I think it's more like in songs it gets pronounced that
Oh,
way.
that's hysterical. Here I am living in the United States, more years than I'm going to say. And I really thought that it was one of those things where everybody in the 49 other states says Louisiana, but you guys say Louisiana.
No, no, we say Louisiana.
All right. Well, there I am. Clarity. That's awesome. That's pretty funny, though. Like, really, I really thought it would be. If I ever went there, I'd be like, hey, I'm in Louisiana, thinking I'm like in with the locals.
No, you would stand out like a sore thumb. We would all know you were a tourist.
I have a good idea. I'd probably stand out anyway, but my jersey would come right out. Anyway, so here's the thing. I love the way your business looks down there. And of course, everybody knows that I can love and admire your talent and aesthetic, but that's not really what gets me going. What gets me going when I look right at your website, first page front and center, you have these sentences that you have a structured process and that you have a step-by-step method. And I am just like, yes, I love this. So I would love for you to talk about the process that you use with your clients and how you maybe came to develop it. And then later in the show, I just want to let everybody know I am going to speak with Rachel about that jump. I know many, many, many of you are really just hankering for the information of how you go from that 1, 2, 3 person firm to the bigger firm. And it's not even that Rachel's firm. It's not even that your firm is, a 10-person firm, but the level of the clients that you're doing. So it's really not the numbers of people. It's the types of projects. So we're going to take that apart too, but let's establish first your systems and the way you work with your clients, because that's also extremely helpful to all of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I think there came a point in my journey as a business owner where I realized that the reason I was frustrated with the type of clients I was getting was really not due to the clients themselves. It was due to an error on my part in how I was marketing the firm. So you can't fault potential clients for not really knowing how design works and what the process is and how you like to work, because most of them, their experience with the design is going to be through the entertainment industry. And as we all know, any of us who work on this side of the design field, that's entertainment and it's not really real life. So I felt like I needed to start to really highlight the fact that there is a process that takes you from we have the idea to remodel our master bathroom to our master bathroom has been remodeled and we love it. And it was not a perfect pitch the first time I did it, and I had to kind of massage it a lot and to get it just right. But I think kind of putting it out there, and you're exactly right, putting it on the first page of the website and saying step-by-step process and that we follow a structured method, I think it started to resound with people who are my ideal client, because what I realized somewhere along the way was that a lot of the clients I was getting were stay-at-home moms who had lots of time to surf the internet and kind of look for ideas. And it felt like I was spending all this time really pouring my heart and soul into design. And then I would, come up with an idea that I thought was fantastic. And they would go, yeah, but I saw this. And you're like, well, what? I don't understand why you're paying me if you're going to like go and work alongside of me and kind of, so
and not do it nearly as good as me. So
yeah. So I think what it helped me do was it helped me get really clear on the fact that, number one, even though I am a creative professional, I am a linear thinker. And so even though there are a lot of very brilliant designers who kind of thrive in that chaotic setting, I'm not one of them. And so you'll never come into our office and see, a mess of fabric samples. I mean, if you do, it's because we're working on it that day. And we just have cleaned up the room to where our samples are kept. So I don't thrive in chaos. I'm kind of like, clean desk, clean mind. I can focus on the task at hand. And so realizing that about myself helped me realize that those are the kind of people that I wanted to work with, because if you are hiring, because I'm everybody's ideal client. If I hire you, it means that I trust that you know what you're doing, and I'm not going to try to do it with you, and I'm not going to try to tell you how to do it.
Right.
So I realized that's really the type of client that I wanted to work with. Now, that's everybody's ideal client, obviously, but it went even further than that. So what I realized was I really identified with other business owners or other professionals. And then there was this sort of kind of as an extension of that, these people who were retired from owning businesses or empty nesters. And so even though I have friends who have like incredibly clear ideal client profiles, ours is a little bit loose, but we're basically looking for clients who check off kind of those main boxes, that you are a professional, you own a business or you own a practice of your own, your schedule is very demanding. And so you are literally reaching out because you don't have the time to do this. And then beyond that, obviously they need to like the work that we've done, and there needs to be something about it that resonates, because if they're coming to us and saying, we want you to do a Victorian beach house, I would be like, oh no,
not your lady.
Yeah. And that was hard for me too, realizing that like you can't take every single project that comes along, because as you become a better designer, you become better because you focus it's exactly the same thing as doctors. Some doctors are general practitioners and other doctors are heart surgeons. They stay in their lanes. They don't try, the heart surgeons don't try to be a GP, and the GP doesn't try to do heart surgery. And there's nothing wrong with being very clear and saying, we are a residential interior design firm who markets to professionals with demanding schedules who appreciate a very structured process. And really their goal is, we want it done. I mean, obviously they want it to be beautiful, but they want it done. So marketing this step by step, like I said, it wasn't a perfect thing the first time I kind of put it out there, but it really is true. Like the more you say something, the more people to remember that's, oh, she's the girl that has that 15-step process, or she's the girl that's got the whatever. She's the person who only works with blue. I mean, it feels like you're limiting yourself when you say something like that, but really what it does is it puts you in a niche, and it helps you weed out a lot of potential clients that come your way, that even they may be great people, but you're looking for those red flags in the beginning and going, okay, they seemed really nice, but they're all over the place, and I don't think that they're a good fit. So what we ended up doing was we actually started with a 15-step full service interior design process, and it was based on my experience in design school, learning the design process that they teach you in school, which is preliminary design, where you write a program and you measure, and then schematic design, where you start. Now in school it was bubble diagrams, which to be honest with you, I still don't understand the purpose of, but you would draw bubble diagrams and wayfinding and all that kind of stuff, and that's really based on commercial design, but that was my training. Design development is where you start to make specific decisions on furnishings, and then you do construction documents where you draw it all in the plan. So I had that training. It's just somewhere between graduating from school and starting my own business, I had forgotten it. And I was like, let's go back to basics. The basics are, I can't get you to point B without going through point A first. So I started it. Basically what I decided was, if I tell people it's 15 steps to go from a plot of land that you just purchased to a completely furnished home, they'll think, okay, that's more steps than I really want to think about on my own, but it's not so many that I feel like I don't want to build this house. And what I realized was, obviously in my sales pitch, I can say, these are the highlights, these are the very high touchstone parts of a project, but obviously there are a million steps to take you. But really when you outline it like that for them, it starts to really demystify how you do what you do for them. And in fact, we sat with a couple this week that it's part of our sales funnel. Whenever we're vetting clients, we have a preliminary call, and then we schedule a preliminary meeting with them just to kind of get to know them. And then in between, we email them what those steps are. And so when they came in, I was like, well, do you have any questions about the process? And he goes, actually, no, I'm really kind of scared to hire anybody else now that I've read this.
Like I didn't know what I didn't know, right?
Exactly.
And nobody else mentioned all of this. So do they not know it either?
So what I realized was, those 15 steps work for that new construction down to, hanging pictures on your wall, but not every project is going to be like that. So we do one that is strictly new construction. They're not looking for furniture. They're only looking for someone to help them build their home. So that's a function of what we do. And then we have another one that's a 15 step where It's not necessarily that construction will be involved, but they need to decorate a home. So that's our 10-step soft furnishings kind of, so the two new construction soft furnishings, those are 10 steps. The full service is 15 steps. And then from there, anything that doesn't fit into one of those, we consider it a consulting job. So it's, somebody needs help just kind of with one room, but they don't need anybody to work up a plan. They just want somebody to go shop with them. Well, we offer a service called VIP Day. If they just need someone to help them pick their finishes, we can do that. And sometimes that falls under VIP Day. Sometimes that falls under like color consultation. You just need somebody to go help you pick your paint colors. So what I realized was, although the big fish is that 15-step full service interior design client, where I live, that's really not a reality every day of the week. So we have to have some work that kind of fills in the gaps in between. We can't hold out for new construction 15-step interior design clients,
Right.
because if we did, we would have no work. And what we've seen is that by offering that 10-step new construction package to people, a lot of times it actually does roll into, well, we loved working with you so much. We actually do want you to help us pick our furniture. What do we need to do from this step forward?
Right.
So
But let me just clarify, but you're letting them know very clearly that from ground break to empty shell of a house is one contract,
Yes.
one process, and then you're willing to happy to do the next one. But it's not, don't start asking me about the drapes while we're installing the plumbing, because that's not part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as much as I would like for it to be part of it, because I know that actually is really the way that it works better, I realize that there are just going to be some clients who they don't get it until they see that finished product, and they're like, wow, this is beyond anything that we could have done on our own. And we hear that all the time too. So I think in terms of kind of getting to this marketing, I guess, language of that we follow a process, it was not perfect right out of the gate, and it's definitely something that we continue to refine. I mean, one of the things that we decided in 2017, we're not taking on project management for people anymore. It's too much work, and it's something that it's another one of those intangible things that you end up doing that you don't really always get paid for. And when you tell people that you're going to charge for it, they kind of balk. You're going to charge to come talk to the contractor? Well, no, I'm not going to charge you to come talk to the contractor. I'm going to charge you to go check in on all the subs twice a week. That's the contractor's job. And I don't want to get into that lane. And also, you take on the liability of the contractor's work whenever you start to be a project manager. So
okay, and let me clarify here too. So the thing is, if somebody has your 15-step new construction package, you're what you're saying there is you're obviously like project managing what you are doing.
Absolutely.
You're just not, like you said there, you're not going to come in as part of your 15 steps and just, so let's clarify. So yeah, you give drawings to the contractor for the kitchen.
Right.
Okay. Now the kitchen's in construction. He's in the middle of building the kitchen. How is it work there? So does that mean because he's in the middle of building the kitchen, you show up to make sure that he's building the kitchen according to your drawings, or that would be project management and you only show up if he calls to say, I can't put the beam where you want the beam? Like, how does that's a like gray area for me.
Sure. So the way that we have distinguished what our lane is versus what his lane is that, yes, we do regular site visits to check to make sure that what they're doing is it conforms to the drawings that the client has signed off on.
Okay.
Because a lot of times the client is at work and they don't see the tile going down, and when they get home, they're like, this tile looks like it's laid wrong.
Right.
So it's really our job to go and check on those kind of things and act as your client's agent and as their advocate. But we are not there to schedule the tile setter, and we are not there to schedule the electrician.
Okay.
That's the contractor's job.
That's the distinction. So
yes.
If you have designed something, you take responsibility for checking in to make sure it's executed according to what you have designed. But if the guy was supposed to come on Tuesday and you went Tuesday to check on him and he's not there, you're just like, okay, I'm moving on to the next thing. I'm done. I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's not.
Yep. That's not your thing.
Well, and truthfully,
well, that's nice. Actually, it's very clean. I like that.
It is. It is kind of nice. In Louisiana, you actually have to have either a home improvement contractor's license or a general contractor's license to do that job and be paid for it. And there are a lot of designers who get into kind of this muddy area of, oh, this is a little job. It's just a little half bath. So I'll hire the tile setter and the client can pay me for his work and I'll take a little cut off the top.
Mm.
Well, when you do that, you are now responsible for if the tile installation doesn't last, if it's done wrong, if it's not
Mhm.
up to code. I'm not taking that on. That is
Mhm.
way too
Mhm.
much liability, and we're a
Mhm.
tiny little business, and if we were to ever be sued for anything like
Oh,
that,
right, right.
no way.
Yeah,
No.
right, right. No, I like that because, at first I was like, because we all know that you make a drawing, you make a plan, and you walk in, and the guy's like, well, I couldn't put the thing there. And you're like, dude, you don't get to just put it where you want to put it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we all know that it's important for you to be in contact with the project as it's going along. So that's a great distinction. It's like you
Hmm.
will oversee what you have designed, but beyond that, you're not
Hmm.
making sure he's showing up to do it or he
No.
finished it or he did it on time or the materials are there or anything else.
No. Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Now, let's just go back to the very beginning and how you started this conversation. You described how you changed your marketing in order to attract the right client. And I understand very clearly that part of that marketing was putting out that you do a organized step-by-step structured process. My question is that did it happen and or does it still happen where someone will get in your funnel, to use your word,
Hmm.
in your process and ignore that? In other words, do you sometimes have the homeowner that's like, she reads it and doesn't mean anything to her, and so she calls you and has the conversation and this and that? And I'm curious if there's so much discussion about it because, like you said, you want to deal with busy professionals that are like, you do this, you do it well, I
Hmm.
trust you, let's sign off. And when you
Hmm.
don't want to work with the people who are walking in every day with 19,000 pictures from Pinterest, right? It's like,
Hmm.
what about this one? I know
Hmm.
you designed the room perfectly, but here's the lamp that I really want. So
Hmm.
the thing is, how is it so strongly stated between the website and the preliminary conversations that person will truly eliminate themselves from your process, or do you sometimes have to say, I think I'm not a good fit?
Well, both. So there's definitely, I don't know that we've ever had a client that has completely eliminated themselves from the process, because at the end of the day, it's their home. They have to like the ideas and they have to agree to the ideas. Um, but yes, there have definitely been moments where, and a lot of times you're right, you don't really see those things whenever you're sort of courting the new client.
Mm-hmm.
You're you're giving them kind of this is what you're agreeing to, and you can say it, 10 different ways and mean the same thing every single time and have them say, yes, I understand. Yes, I understand. And then
Yeah,
the shotgun goes off and the race starts and they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
right.
And so what we try to do is when we see a client that's deviating from the process, we're sticking to the process.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens, we're going to stick to the process. If it keeps going where we're sticking to the process and it's frustrating them, we're going to have a little come to Jesus and we're going to go, okay, look,
Remember
remember,
those agreements we
that's
made?
right. Remember back in, April,
Mhm.
whenever we were looking over the design process and you thought that was so great and you love the step-by-step process, we've kind of derailed a little bit. And we will tell people, we will set up a private Pinterest board for you for the duration of your project, but we are only going to pin to it for 2 weeks. So
Okay.
after that, we're really not even opening that Pinterest board anymore. It's there for you to use. And once your contract is done, we delete the board. So you need to save everything off of there that you want to save for future reference. But it's kind of like, I guess, and I don't want to say this in a way that sounds offensive, but you, children will do what they're allowed to get away with.
Right, right, right,
And
right.
it's kind of the same with clients.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a client who is kind of totally just off the rails and, she's shopping alongside of you and she's taking your proposals to other designers and comparing your pricing and blah, 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 or telling other clients that she's charging me a design fee. How do you charge? I mean, right out of the gate, that is just, she's cheating on you. She's, that's really tough to deal with. And so sometimes you can right the ship and you can say, listen, that was part of our agreement too. Do you remember this clause in your contract that says you're not going to take our ideas to other designers? You strictly agreed that this is the design firm that you're working with. Well, you've you've sort of negated this part of the agreement
Mm.
by taking. And that's the other thing. I think a lot of small business owners, especially because we're majority women in this industry, we're really worried about saying that we have a contract because we think it's going to scare people off.
Mm.
And I know in the beginning you're so hungry for business that you feel like, God, if I even say contract, it's going to be like, what? You work out of your home? Are you serious? Well, do it anyway,
Right.
because even if it's only one page, you have to get really clear on this is what the client is agreeing to pay you to do. And these are the things you're not going to do. And these are the things you're asking of your client. And that's really all a contract exists to do. If there's ever a disagreement, you can just refer to your contract and go, oh, remember this? This is what
Hmm.
we said about how we were going to handle that.
Hmm.
And again, it took me a long time to get to that point. And so I went from being the designer who worked from home with the little 2-page letter of agreement to being a designer who has an office who now has an 8-page contract,
Mm.
because you live and learn. Every
Right.
single project, every time you're like, oh gosh,
Got
that's
to
a big
add that to
contract.
the contract.
That's right. You got to put it in there. And we have a fantastic law firm on retainer, and we consult with them on every single thing. And we'll say, hey, we want to add this to the contract, and they'll go, oh, you can add it, but you can't enforce it.
Mm.
And so you're like, okay, well, at least if it's said, it's out there and they know.
Right.
So what we're working on presently is, here's your contract and here's a separate little fun document called the rules. And it's kind of tongue in cheek. These are the rules for this relationship, and this is, don't do this, do this. We like it when you do this. We don't like it when you do this. But again, I don't mean this to be offensive, but you kind of have to teach them how to be a good client. And there are
Hmm.
some that are going to come who are great clients no matter what,
Right.
and
Right. Right. Right.
they don't need all of that.
Right.
But you can't assume
You
that
don't
everyone.
know who that person is.
That's right.
And
That's
you
right.
know what? People change midstream. I've seen it 1,000 times. Normal, 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 normal. One wrong thing, and you're like, "Whoa, what
Yes.
happened to?" They're like the Exorcist with their head spinning. You're like, "Whoa,
Yes.
wait, we were all good."
Yes. 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 In
Tell
fact,
me a
last
little bit
summer,
about that document, the rules. Tell me, like,
the
what
rules.
kinds of
Well,
things do you have in there? Because that seems like a really nice way to just say, "Don't be a jerk."
yeah, it's essentially it's recapping the contract,
Right, but in
because
plain language,
in
right?
plain language,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's not in, 13 paragraphs to say
Right,
don't do this.
jargon.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's really just a nice recapping of, here's your gentle reminder that your payments are due on these dates, and here's your gentle reminder that we're meeting with you on these dates, and here, it's just it's just a it's not like handcuffs, but
Right.
it's sort of just their way of like checking in. And who wants to pull out an 8-page contract and reread it to figure out what it was we said we were doing? No.
Well, it's true, and because the thing is, we all know that the more effective a contract is, the less we actually can understand the
That's right.
blasted thing.
That's right.
It's like
It's
what
true.
the herein therefore the forever named
Hmm.
forward as this person. It's like
Hmm.
what?
I know. I know. It's
So, okay. And so does it have simple things on it as far as your rules for communication? Like change
yes.
orders must be made by email, no texting after 7. Like, do you have little things like that
Oh,
in
no
it?
texting, period. We
No,
don't text
love
with
it.
clients.
Okay,
No.
love it.
No, that really was a runaway train.
Yeah.
And I actually have an app on my phone that is fantastic. It's called Moment, and it tracks how many times you pick up your phone a day and how much time you spend on certain apps. And I am ashamed to say that there were days where I would spend 5 hours looking at my phone as opposed to working. That's
Mm.
that's ridiculous. It's
I bet
ridiculous.
all of us would be surprised at how much we
It's
do that as opposed, we think it's not that
funny.
much. Yes.
You think it's not. That's
Right.
that's absolutely the truth. You think it's not very long, and then when you've got, and it it kind of gets on to me every now and then. Like, reminder, you've been on your phone 3 hours and 20 minutes today. You're over your limit, and it'll give me a little sad face. Okay, I'll put it down.
So
But
you've
what I
taught your
realized,
phone how to treat you.
that's right. What I realized was that, because I thought, okay, I must be spending all that time looking at Instagram or Facebook. No, it was texting.
Oh, it
And
actually
so
it actually
it will tell
delineates.
you.
Oh,
Yes, it
yeah.
will say the majority of your time is spent texting. And I was like, oh man, like that's a huge problem, because I am that linear thinker and I'm also an introvert. Every little disruption takes me 10 to 15 minutes to get back on track with,
Mm,
like, okay, where was I? What was I doing? Because I
right.
need very deep focus to accomplish a task. And when I can achieve deep focus, oh man, it's rocking and rolling. We're checking things off the list. I mean, it's like super productive. But every little interruption It
Right.
just, it like, I can't come back to what I was thinking. I can't, like, what was the last thing I was looking at
Mm-hmm.
that fabric. Where's that fabric?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And
I
that's how
can't see it.
mistakes happen also.
That's
Because
exactly
I
right.
find for me, when I get interrupted like that, I come back to what I was doing. Same as you. I have a moment where I'm like, deer in the headlights. What was I doing? But what I find is that later, if there's a mistake where I indicated a wrong measurement on a work order for a drapery or whatever it might be, I can literally pinpoint back
Yes.
and I'll be like, oh, because when you went back to it, you started at one step beyond where you had left off
Hmm.
and you didn't realize it. And that's
Hmm.
where that whole broke down. So, and,
Hmm.
consequently, you learn to know that the more difficult, detailed tasks that really you cannot afford mistakes that I do when the office is empty. I go
Hmm.
in on Saturday and do it, or I go in. I like sometimes I'm at the showroom at 5 o'clock when we close, and I'm looking at everybody like, go home. And they're Kim is working late and Adriana's working late, and I'm like, all right, well that's good. They're getting their work done. But by 6 o'clock, I'm like, okay, people, I
Hmm.
have work to do. Leave.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so you have to know yourself. That's good. That's good. I love it.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about. I can hear it. So you're no different than many designers that are 7 and 8 and 10 years behind you. You're in business 10 years at this point, and
Hmm.
so I can hear it. You're relating and you're saying, I didn't just pop out perfectly formed as this business person running
No.
this crack operation, right? And so, but bring us back to some of those other things from the beginning that you can consider and recall as pivotal moments where you went, I did this and it resulted in this awareness, this aha, this change for my business. And I watched what it could be surrounding on how you structured your fees. It could be surrounding on actually structuring your fees for a
Yeah.
change. Tell us something like that.
So definitely fees. That was a turning point for me, realizing that for me, an hourly fee structure was a one-way road to nowhere.
Okay.
Um, what I would end up with was clients who did not believe it took as long as it took to find
Ah,
fabric or to source furniture or whatever. They would get their bill and they would go, I find it very hard to believe that it took you, 6 hours to do blah, blah, blah. And I'd go, well, geez, no, it took me 9, but I shaved 3 hours off of it because I knew you had a feeling you'd tell me you didn't believe me. And it just, I don't want to fight with you over how long it takes, because the truth is that it takes as much time as it takes,
right,
honestly.
right.
And then when you start to become better at your job, it's actually going to take less time. So if you are, squirrely about raising your hourly fee and you think you're going to price yourself out of the market, you're going to end up at a really weird crossroads at some point where you need to charge more for your time because you actually are so good at your job, it takes you 30 minutes instead of a full hour.
Right.
And you can't continue to charge. I mean, if you're charging, I know like this was 10 years ago, but I was charging like $75 an hour. And I thought that that was just an ungodly amount of money. And then I was shaving time off. And then I'm
Mm.
like, well, gosh, now that I'm getting more experience and I'm actually better and I have better resources and I know where to look for these things, it's only taking me, an hour to do stuff that took me 3 hours to do last year, but I hadn't raised my hourly fee. And then when I told clients I was going to raise it, they're like, oh, well, it's been great working with you. And you're like, oh my God. So I attended, I don't know how many of your listeners know who Toby Fairley is, but she's wonderful. And I attended
Mm.
her designer MBA course. And it really was just a major turning point for me because I was at the point that I felt like I either have to make this work or I need to find another job because I stayed frustrated. I was not making any money. I didn't have any work that I felt like I was proud of, that I wanted people to even know that I had been a part of.
Mm.
So the main things that I learned with her were you've got to get creative about what you will say is a project, because I kept thinking I want to do whole homes. That's my training. My background was in giant commercial work. I mean, I know how this is supposed to work. I understand a budget. I understand all that. I don't understand why the clients don't understand it. And what she sort of opened my eyes to was she goes, well, what's the thing that people keep asking you for over and over again? I'm like, people want me to go shopping with them. She's like, okay, why don't you do it? I'm like, well, it's exhausting and it like drains me and I don't really enjoy it. She's like, but in the meantime, what if you charged, whatever, $1,700 for a day of your time and you started to book 3 of those a week. She's like,
Right.
you could literally only do that and you would make more money than
Right.
you made last year trying to get this. And I was like, oh, that's something.
There's
So
an
I
idea.
came home, absolutely. I came home and I revamped every service that I offered, and I put them all in packages and I gave them all names. Color consultation is at this fee. Next step up from that is something called VIP day. The next step up from that is something called the 1 week room rescue. The next step up from that is going to be luxury services, and it's either going to be new construction, soft furnishings, or full service. And it it just, I mean, it was like the gates just burst open. All of a sudden, I could tell people, "Oh, you sound like you're a fit for a VIP day. Here's what that service is." And of course, it's the whole, you have to sell the value of the service
Always.
always. I remember standing with a client one time. She owned some commercial property, and they were painting the exterior of this building. And she needed me to come choose a color, and it took me like 10 minutes. And she's like, "That's it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, do I have to pay you for the whole hour?" And I was like, "Oh, God." I go, "Well, yes, because it's not just the whole hour. It's the 12 years it took me to be so good that
Right.
it only took me 10 minutes to, no, like, are you
Right.
kidding me with this? Would you
Right.
ever say that to your dentist? Oh my God." So
What did she say when you said that? Did she understand it
she
or?
just laughed. Yeah, she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But we don't work together anymore. That's the
Right.
follow
Right.
up to that. And
Well,
that's
and
fine.
that's the thing, though, and that is the truth, that you need to be able to come back with that explanation, that
Yes.
expression of your value. Right. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. You do. And the truth is that it's fine for clients to fall off and to not continue with you on this journey. I mean, that's fine. And I think if you are, I actually took that particular client to lunch and I explained to her, like, she used to always kind of joke and say, "Oh, you're full service. You're full service." And I was like, "I don't think you really know what that means when I say full, because I've like brought pillows to your house. That's not full service. Like, that's
Yeah.
not." And so I actually took her to lunch, and I at that point I had the 15-step process written out. And I was like, "I'm going to leave this with you because I want you to understand, when I say full service, this is really what all that entails.
Mm.
And, this is how I'm going to be charging for services from here on." And the deal is, she was very happy for me and she was excited for me. She was very supportive, but she is no longer a client because it's not anything she's interested in. And
Right.
that's cool. That's
Right. And
totally
the
fine.
thing is, it's one thing when someone understands fully and continues to try and take advantage. It sounds
Yeah.
like, we use the word full service. It's two words. We can attach 15 different
Right.
definitions to them. And so she was
Right.
attaching bringing pillows to her as a
Mhm.
service. She didn't have to go get them. You know what I mean? And so,
Exactly.
and you're like, no, full service is the full width and breadth of my experience as an interior designer.
Right.
Driving, pillows from point A to point B. A monkey could
That's
do.
just a courier is what that is. Yeah.
Exactly, a
Yeah.
messenger service. Okay, so I like this, and it's funny because I'm reminded the very first time that I came across through the podcast a designer that had listed their services so clearly. I want to say I believe it was Veronica Solomon of Casa Valora Interiors, and I just was blown away at how organized it was, and I immediately understood the value of it, because almost everything that you guys do, I look at always with the set of eyes as a consumer too. So I just evaluate you as I'm going through your website and your different things. And I'm like, well, what if I was a stranger that was looking for a designer? What are the messages I'm getting? What are the silent cues that I'm inferring? What am I seeing? You know what I mean? And of course, I'm as I always say, I'm not evaluating from the standpoint of your portfolio, because for the most part, I believe that 99% of you can create a beautiful room. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's, how do you communicate what you do as a business? And so I love that. As a consumer, I like to know what I'm getting into before I get into it. And I'm happy once I put my toe in to, understand the full width of everything that's included that might not have been able to be expressed in 15 steps. And like you said, you're going to explain. But to know that I could fit into a VIP day, or know
Yes.
that I could fit in, that takes, to me, it takes a lot of intimidation away, because a lot of the outside world, really, one of the biggest, I think, problems that we face as a community is communicating what
Yes.
we do. right?
Absolutely. Yes. I
Exactly.
remember, I will tell you one time I don't know where I was, but I heard on the radio this commercial came on and it says, or I think it was on TV, your child is sick and you're sitting in the hospital waiting room and it's going on and on and on about this tragic situation. Did you know that the first person that brings your child comfort is the architect who designed the space? And I was like,
Mm.
what? It's the interior designer that picked that chair she's lying in. Like, I was like, why is the interior design world not putting out commercials like this? Like this, it was brilliant. I'm like,
Yes.
oh my gosh. And so
Yes.
you're very right. Like, I think when you change the way you explain something to a client about how a service is going to work, you do absolutely 100% highlight the value of working with your firm and no one else.
Mhm.
And I think that comes down to the language that you use. And if you can only use the language that is going to resound with this person, if you know the person you want to work with. So
Right.
it's like a circular, it's a loop. You
Right.
got to know the client, you got to know the language that's going to speak to that client. And the truth of the matter, for me especially, is that your ideal client is probably someone very much like you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so saying to someone, "Oh, you're a perfect fit for our VIP day." Well, it's probably not anything that they've ever heard from another designer. And then when they realize like, "Holy crap, we're going to be able to accomplish all of that in 4 hours." And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a follow-up after that with the list of everything I need to do. Oh my God, like it's all of a sudden it's easy, it's clear, it's simple. They are so willing to sign on the dotted line
Mm-hmm.
when you say, "This is the service, this is what all you get. We're going to go a step beyond that and do this for you." It's kind I worked with a business coach one time that said when you have a sales funnel that works for you, by the time you were asking them to say yes, there you could say anything at that point and
Right.
they are just like, "Yes, just where do I sign?"
Yes.
Yes,
Right. Can I
yes,
just stop talking so I can give you
yes.
my money?
Exactly. And it's true. I mean, you're exactly right. As a consumer, and think about it, we're so buried in the work that we do that we also forget that we are consumers too.
Mm-hmm.
So like right now I have to have some trees removed from my yard because a branch fell on my roof Sunday.
Mm. Jeez.
And I, um so part of that process is getting quotes from several different tree removal services and seeing, okay, I'm going to compare what these people put in their quote to what these people put in their quote. And the truth is that I'm probably going to throw the lowest quote out
Right.
because that's generally how I work. I want to
Mm-hmm.
compare the two that are closest together. You have to inform the consumer. You can't, because if somebody just drove up to my house and said, "Hey, I cut down trees for a living and these 3 trees need to go and I'll charge you $500." I'd be like, "Ha, no.
Right. 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 Right.
No."
Tell me
Like
why those and how you're going to do
sure,
it. Yep.
but those are all things that are so important. So yeah, when you start talking to your client about the value, the process, absolutely. When they realize, "Oh my gosh, we're going to be so far ahead of the game when we do this VIP day." Yes, like let's just do it. That's relief for them.
Right. Tell me about this. So now what we understand is that, of course, the 15-step full-on construction and full-on design is where your sweet spot is and you love to do. But I like to know, I'm happy to know that you have this realistic view that the pipeline isn't always filled with those. And so these other ways of doing business are ways to keep the orders and the money and the bank account happy. So, and that's nice to have it highlighted because I think
Yes.
sometimes somebody that's in business 1, 2, 3 years looks at somebody like you and says she doesn't bother with this stuff anymore. So, but
Well,
tell
that's
us
true.
about the VIP day and the 1 week room rescue. How is it structured? What's included? If you're willing to share pricing, that would be awesome.
So I can tell you that we absolutely get inquiries from clients, potential clients, every week that say, "I would love to work with you, but I don't know if you even work on projects because this is really small."
Right.
And they're thrilled to find out, "Oh yeah, we do consulting or we do these little packages and we do these little 1 day turnaround types of projects for people." Yes, that I think you're so right on the fact that our pipeline, it may be years before we're full of 15-step full service and we only take 2 projects a year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, it is very smart and it is very beneficial and profitable for us to schedule preliminary consultations for people that we go and pick their paint colors.
Right.
I mean, if again, it goes back to that thing that I learned from Toby. If you can pick paint colors 5 days a week and schedule 5 appointments a day, you're fine.
I know.
I
I
mean,
just
really.
said this in a coaching session recently. I was like, I understand where you want to be, but you could make money on the way there.
And truthfully, the thing we get asked the most on all of our posts is, what paint color is that?
Right.
That's kind of, that's the door to a design project for most people. We want to paint. We don't know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So for VIP day, it kind of came about because I realized, I obviously, because we have our own accounts with furniture companies, I really wanted to be in control of that. Like I wanted to customize the pieces and I wanted to be able to put our own fabrics on them. And that's, takes time to do that. And then it takes time to wait for those things to come in. And there are just not a whole lot of people that are interested in that, because think about it. We're all competing with Amazon, who can deliver something to you the afternoon you order it. So good Lord. I mean, we will never compete with that.
Right.
And I realized, I actually read another, I'm all about go out and find the information that's going to help you. So I read a book called Worth Every Penny that is fantastic, that I think every small business owner should read.
Okay.
Because as a small business owner, you can never compete on price. You can't.
Right.
Just get that in your head.
Right.
You can never win the price war against Amazon or Joss and Main or Wayfair. You can't.
It's not possible.
You cannot. Don't try. So what you need to be focused on is offering amazing customer service and amazing client experience. And really, I mean, if we go back to the heyday of interior design, it was a total luxury. It was like owning a Tesla or a BMW or a Mercedes. Now everyone owns them,
Right.
So back in the day, the clientele that interior designers had really did expect amazing treatment and amazing customer service. And so whenever I decided I was going to put these little packages together, I thought, okay, if I was sort of the client who knew I needed paint colors, but I knew the next step was going to be furniture, what would interest me as the person who wanted to, well, I don't want to be intimidated. Right. I don't want to feel like I'm dumb for even asking.
Right.
And so we started to just put on Instagram, on all of our social media marketing. Do you have a graduation party coming up? Do you have a wedding coming up and you haven't worked on that living room all year and now it's 3 weeks away? Guess what? We can spend 4 hours with you and you can have it done in 2 weeks. Or we can do a 1-week room rescue for you and it can be done in 1 week. Now, obviously there are limitations to that. We can't custom order furniture for you. We're going to have to shop what's in stock. But the benefit of that is I have formed all of these great relationships with design and furniture stores in Baton Rouge. Some of my very best friends work for these stores. So we're not going to make you buy all this stuff up front. We're going to take it all on approval.
Okay.
And we're going to install it in your house, and you're going to get to see exactly what it would look like if you purchased it all. We're going to establish the budget up front. I mean, that is kind of tapping into that HGTV moment of, whoa, this only took a week. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Now, as the professional, there are definitely projects where I get hung up on, cannot work through this. Like, what's blocking my brain? But the truth is that when you're really in your wheelhouse and you're really, you've eliminated that we can't do any custom anything, all of a sudden it just becomes really easy and it takes very little time. I mean, again, it goes back to the better you get at your job, the less time it's going to take you. So selling that value to the client was a game changer. I mean, it really was a game changer. And so we did lots of VIP days and 1-week room rescues for people. We did one that was a 2-week 6-room rescue for someone. And it was fantastic. He was an attorney. He definitely did not have the time or the interest to go shopping. He had bought this huge home that's on the historical register. He's like, I don't know what to do with this place. Like, I just need somebody to furnish it. So we did it.
The thing is, he wasn't interested in the luxury furnishings level. He was just, I need it to look good. I'm going to have people over, but I don't care about custom sofas.
That's right. And
yes.
the funny thing is that even though he wasn't really interested in that, that's what he got, because I worked with a store here that sells Hickory Chair, Baker, all of the top lines, and they keep it, some stuff is in stock, some stuff has to be ordered, but what they keep in stock is beautiful. And he was thrilled. And we were able to do some really unique things. And we actually found this beautiful Murano glass chandelier that was red. That was his girlfriend's favorite color. And we put it in a little sitting room for her. I mean, it was like we just won the day. I mean, and what was so funny was, because he was a man, he's like, so I think my budget is $20,000. And I was like, yeah, so, that's probably not going to be realistic, if I'm being really honest with you, because this house was huge.
Yes.
He goes, okay, you know what? I'm not even going to, he's like, just do what you need to do. Do it the way you think it needs to look right. I'll go through after the fact and I'll cull anything that I, just can't justify the expense on. I said, perfect. I think that's exactly how it should work. So we actually came in at about $80,000.
Whoa. But you're talking about you delivered it. You didn't like put it
Oh,
on a
yes,
mood
ma'am.
board and he picked from it. You
No, no, no.
delivered it.
It was taken on approval, put on a truck, set up in his house. We took 2 days to do the entire installation. I mean, there was no custom drapery or anything like that,
Right.
but short of that step, all of these 6 rooms were furnished with artwork on the walls, accessories, pillows, rugs, all of it. And we even used some of their own meaningful things with it. And of course, he loved it, but he did go through and kind of say, okay, this painting, we're probably not, we don't know who this artist is. It's not important to us. We'll
Right.
return this. It was fantastic. I mean, it really, and we've actually become friends since then. He still keeps in touch every now and then. And he's so funny. He's this very wonderfully talented criminal defense attorney. And so he always will joke with me and say, so now that you're a millionaire, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, my God, with your criminal defense money. Are you kidding me? Like,
Right.
no, I'm
Right.
not a millionaire, but you are.
Right.
So you need to cough it up. But I think that's the other thing is these relationships can be formed from getting a foot in the door one way or another. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, but I have to say, Rachel, that seems a big difference from a 4-hour VIP day to delivering $80,000 of
It was a
product
big
to a
difference.
client. You know what I
was a
mean?
big
So, and to be clear, there are people that do a 4-hour VIP day, and
Yes.
I want to just visualize that process. It's go to your house, walk through, and say, move that picture here, buy a sofa there, and give me the check, and I'm leaving. Like you give them a list of things to do, and you're done. Is that correct? Is that a typical VIP day?
That's the beginning of a VIP day. So what we like to say is a VIP day is really a super, super condensed project. So the first hour, maybe 30 minutes, will be spent at the house, getting pictures of the house, taking as many measurements as we can. And then the next 3 hours are theirs to choose how they want to spend them. So if they say, I've already found furniture, I want you to go look at it with me, we'll go with them. Or if they don't have a clue where to start, we'll say, hey, let's go to this store. We think you'll really like the people there. You know, they've got great pieces, even if we only end up with a sofa. In fact, this is literally the story that happened last week.
Okay.
So we go with her. We actually pull together an entire scheme: sofa, pillows, swivel chairs that we need to order in this fabric, rug, lamps. So she's got everything that she needs to furnish her living room. From this point forward, she's already said, okay, this was awesome. I loved everything that we picked. I want you to do the dining room, the kitchen, and the breakfast room. And then down the road, we're going to do the master bedroom together. So again, it's almost like these are the clients that need to see the work in action to
Yes.
understand, oh,
Right.
gosh,
Like
that
that
was
was
easy.
that was good and that was valuable.
Yeah.
But let me
Yeah.
ask you something. So if the VIP for the living room that you did with the sofas, the lamps, la la la,
Mhm.
you end that day with having this in this particular condition, this situation, you end that day with having identified all of the pieces. Some of the pieces have to be ordered because they're not in stock, but your responsibility for that room stops at that day. And she's placed the order. She, schedules the delivery. If you're done with it, you've held her hand. It's like if you took your mother out for the day and did everything, and then you go back home and she figures out the rest because you're this amazing designer and she's not paying you, right?
Yeah.
So so then you cut ties there. She pays you for that day. Now, in this case, she says, hey, do the next 3 rooms. Does she then say, do the next 3 rooms at this exact same level? I want the VIP day, so that in her mind, she keeps keeping the parameters on the project because this particular customer is willing to keep doing the back end work of coordinating. It's basically paying for consulting, but you've put the parameters on. We're going to do it in one day. And if it doesn't happen in one day, so let me ask one question at a time. So the first question is that I'm correct in understanding. It's she executes whatever can't be completed that day, correct?
So the goal of the VIP day for the client is whatever goal the client comes to us with. If they say, I just need to know of some different stores to shop in, okay, we'll go to 4 different stores and you can meet those people and cool, whatever.
Okay.
It's the goal is set by the client. So this specific client needed furnishings for her living room. They had bought this house. They're like, we hate our furniture. It doesn't work in here. We've got to have something new. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of thinking about it. So her goal was furniture for the living room. So that was how we executed that. We met with her at the house. It actually was a house that we had worked with other clients on, so we knew it very well.
Mm.
We actually had the measurements on it. We met with her again at the store that we picked her furniture in. And then from that point forward, she said, this was so easy and this was so great and I love working with y'all. So, what would it cost me to go move forward on the dining room, the kitchen, and the breakfast room? So the parameters, yes, they are still set by the client, but I think because we are so clear up front about VIP day ends on with this, they know, okay, to move forward with anything else is going to be something under a separate proposal and a separate agreement. And so we had a really great conversation. And the thing is, the advantage of working with someone on a VIP day is that you get a lot of face time with them, and you kind of have to cut through the diplomatic type of answers that you have to have with people sometimes. Like, that's nice, but have you thought of this? Because no, you don't have time for that. You have to go, no, that's not going to work. I think you need to do this.
Right. And there's a level that they're looking for that because they know the clock is ticking.
Absolutely.
So they're not looking for the whole big, long schmoozy thing either.
No. And there's a sense of familiarity with this client when she's ready to start phase 2. So we've already got the contract signed on phase 2. She's already put her payment on phase 2. We're starting phase 2. We've only been working with her a week. So the good thing about it was she knew after watching us in action and seeing us pull together things that she probably would not have gone in and pulled for herself. She's like, I would have come in here and pulled everything that was neutral, but I like what you're doing. It was helpful for her to see how the process worked, even in that condensed span of time. And then moving forward, we had already blown her mind with what we had put together for the living room, that she was like, I don't even want to try to do it for the dining room. Like, I'm not even interested. Like, you just do it. So she knew, okay, moving forward, we're going to have a conversation about, how do you want to use the dining room? As it turns out, she doesn't even want it to be a dining room. She wants it to be a sitting room. So how are we going to use the dining room? What exactly do you need in the kitchen? What exactly do you need in the breakfast room? And what exactly do you need in the master bedroom? We put together a proposal for those rooms. We sent it over. We had a quick little chat on the phone once she got it about, okay, this is what all this is going to involve and entail. Sent over the agreement. She signed them both, said charge my credit card for half, and we're rocking and rolling.
Okay. So those are not VIPs. That's an actual proposal for a consultation package, a design package.
That's right. Those are actual design And again, I feel like that is so beneficial for the person who is just starting out, that if you can get your foot in the door, it doesn't always have to be, you don't have to give things away for free. Please charge for your first consultation. Don't ever leave your office or your home and drive to meet someone at their home and not be expected to be compensated for the drive, the service that you offer, and your expertise. It is insane to me that anybody would expect someone to not pay for a home consultation, an in-home consultation. If they come to our office, we don't charge, because those are just get to know you. We don't really know what this project is about. You just wanted to kind of meet us and see what we do. Okay. We don't charge for that. But it's like, I guess, think about if your doctor made a house call, would you expect to pay him?
Right. But as a baby designer, did you stand in that space and not charge? You did. Okay.
No. I actually always charged.
That's what I'm saying. You did charge from the beginning.
Always charged. Absolutely.
Okay.
I couldn't afford not to, because I felt like this might be the only time I see these people. And so, I mean, at the time, $75 was a whole lot more than $0.
Right.
So
right.
I'll charge you $75. Yeah, I'll come do it.
Right. We had Blanche Garcia on the show recently, and she described that she has two approaches to it. She will do a no-charge initial consultation, and she does a for-charge consultation. And the way she explains it to her potential client is if I'm coming out for no charge, she basically says it's your choice. I can come out either way. I know you want to get to know me. I know you want to have a conversation to see what it would be like to do business with me. So if you don't want to pay for the consultation, I will come out at no charge. But I will not comment on a single thing directly related to your home. So don't ask me if I should put a sofa here. Don't ask me if I should move a wall there. Don't ask me if I need a drape. If you ask me questions that are specific, I won't answer them. And I will be happy to say, in other projects I've done, sometimes this has worked. But I'm not if you want to meet and greet, we can meet and greet. That's what it is. If you want, though, to pay for my fee during our meet and greet, and as we get to know each other, if in that allotted time frame you say to me, what do I think about, painting the fireplace brick white, I will say to you, yes, I agree, or no, I think you should X, Y, Z. So it's kind of interesting. As the first person I ever spoke to that has flexibility in what she'll do, but it's very finite. And I will just add that one of the reasons and the beliefs that Blanche has is that she has a very strong sense of herself. She has a very strong sense of her capability to communicate and to close a sale. So basically in her mind, if she gets in your house, even if it's for free, she's getting a client. Exactly.
Well, I think that's so smart. And so for people who are not so strong, because in the beginning I definitely was not a closer. I was not a salesman. I was a designer. That was my training. I did not understand this whole world of sales funnels and ideal clients and marketing and elevator pitches. That was like foreign language to me. But what I will tell you is that moving through the baby infancy stages of my business and kind of paying very close attention to what does not work, you will get really clear very quickly on what you will charge for and what you won't charge for. And so we do something very similar to what she does, where if they come to the office, that is that meet and greet. We're not going to charge you for that. And I'll say, I can't really comment on anything specific about your project, but you can see how we work. You can see our offices. Right. But if I'm at your house, we're charging, because I don't want to withhold anything from you. We've made the effort to come all the way out to you. We're going to charge for that service. But the thing I didn't do in the beginning of owning my business was I skipped a step between the initial client contact and that first appointment, where it was like anybody who called and rang the phone for me, I was going to be at their house tomorrow. And now they make contact through the website. Absolutely. They make contact through the website. They call. That call goes through my design manager. She kind of vets them up front and decides if this is worth a call with Rachel or it's not. We do a quick 10-minute call for me to vet the client and see if I'm interested in what they're doing. And from that point, I can either say, I don't think we're a fit, or I think you could be a fit, but I need to see the house first to tell you exactly where you fit into our services. Because I could say to somebody, I think you're a VIP day fit, and then get there and go, oh Lord, no, you need full service. Like this is nothing we can accomplish in a VIP day. So yeah, I think it's just all about you as the business owner. It really is going to be up to you to, exactly what you said, close the sale. And you have to be clear on how that works, because if you're jumping in your car to go meet with people for free left and right just because someone called, you are devaluing your own expertise by doing that. And so there's nothing wrong with making people wait a little bit. Think about your dermatologist. I don't know why in the world it takes so long to get an appointment with a dermatologist, but I swear it's like I call to book and they're like, okay, her next appointment is in 3 months. And I'm like, all right, I'll wait. Okay.
No, there's 20 others I can call, but I'll wait for that one.
Right. I don't make people wait that long, but I mean, it's okay for people to wait a little bit, because your time is very valuable. And eventually you will get to the point where you're so busy that you cannot hop in your car to go meet a potential client that you don't know if it's going to work out or not. Right. So if you start to establish that early on and really start to qualify people, you'll get, again, it just goes back to, you need to know who you want to work with. And if they're saying things in that initial call that are red flags, one of the biggest ones for me is if you're talking to somebody and you ask them, have you ever worked with an interior designer before? And my reason for asking that is just kind of gauging their experience with the design industry as a whole. And the first thing they say is something negative about another designer. Yeah, absolutely not. No, we're not taking that project.
And so, okay, so let's go right there. That happens. You're in the preliminary. Would that even get past your design manager office person, or would she ask that first, or it's sometimes? She doesn't
ask it. I want to ask it because
you want to hear it.
I want to see how far they're going to go, because I will ask and then I just get really quiet. It's that, like, he who speaks the most loses kind of thing. If they just, oh yeah, we worked with this person, it was a nightmare and this and that, and she wanted to charge us, for her time and for the furniture. And I'm like, well, you're certainly not going to be happy with how we charge.
Crazy lady.
I'm like, bye-bye. Yeah.
And so what do you do in that moment, Rachel? Do you actually let it be identified that where it's not you? Do you cut it right there? This is not going to be a good fit, or do you let the conversation go on? You've made your decision right there, but do you let the conversation go on and then sort of imply or expose or do whatever that you're if you figured that they were maybe a one level client, do you just say, well, really the only services we offer are this, or do you just flat out say we're not going to work together because
Yeah, if they say anything, because here's the deal, Baton Rouge is so small and everybody knows everybody, and I don't get into the mud of bad mouthing other designers. It's not going to happen. So, and I've literally had people keep me on the phone for a long time talking about people who are my friends. And I'll say, well, I'm really good friends with them, and I'm not going to say anything negative about them, and I'm sorry you had that experience with them, but I do know as a designer there are two sides to every story. So, having heard how you feel about that experience, I think our experience is probably something very similar to that. So I don't know that you would be a right fit for us either. I mean, I'm not working with you because the deal is today it's that designer and tomorrow it's going to be you.
Yep, exactly.
So no, we just don't even take those projects at all.
So I like that. The little nugget in there is that you say I have to say our experience and our process sounds very similar. So therefore you're probably not going to have any more, a positive experience with us either. That's good. Yeah. Everybody just needs the line to say. You see what I'm saying? It's one thing to say, well, I'm not going to work with that one, but we all go, but how do you tell them that?
How do you tell them? And I think you have to get clear on that is how you will tell them, and that you will tell them, and that you will not ever be so hungry for work that you'll take on a project like that, because I'm telling you, you will be frustrated the entire time. It's not. Just don't do it.
Right. No, I love it. I have one last question. Are you willing to tell us how much you charge for the VIP day?
Oh, yes. Did I not say that? I'm sorry. I got off on a tangent.
Yeah.
So I want to say we actually just raised the price of VIP day, and I should go in and say it is not just those 4 hours. So let me back up and describe VIP day clearly before I say the price. So we do go into the home, and again, the time is theirs to use however they want to use it. So we'll go into the home if they want to go shopping. If it's VIP day and what they really need is they don't need anybody to come up with the design for their master bathroom, but they are changing all the finishes in their master bathroom. We need to go look at the bathroom, and then the next appointment is going to be, we're going to go with you to the tile store and we'll help you pick everything. And then from there, the deliverable, and I think that's the most important thing that people need to hear out of this, the deliverable is you have to give them something to, like a leave behind. You can't just go, okay, bye.
Okay.
So the leave behind and the deliverable is always, if it's that client with the bathroom, they're going to get the list of all the materials that were chosen and how we said to apply them. If it's the client who needs to go shopping, she's going to get the itemized list of every single thing that she needs to buy and where we think she should buy it. If it's the client that we shop with, she's going to get the itemized list of all the things that we looked at and the prices. So it's not just, hey, we're going to spend 4 hours with you. We'll spend 4 hours with you, and we'll probably spend another 2 hours behind the scenes putting together a little packet for you that you're going to get, that because now you have this information and you don't know what to do with it, and they need to know out of the gate, okay, I had that consultation, but I don't remember anything that we said.
You're going to organize it for them.
Yes, we're going to organize it for them. So I want to say, and Emily's going to kill me if I get this wrong, but I want to say that VIP day had been, it was either 2,100 or 2,800. And I think that we just bumped it up to 3,200. I think
that's a nice chunk of change.
It's a nice chunk of change, but again, it is 4 hours of uninterrupted, on the spot, professional advice. I mean, would you ever get 4 hours with your doctor? Would you ever get 4 hours with your dentist, your dermatologist? Heck no. They're going to make you sit and wait for 30 minutes before they even get to your appointment, and you will have already been there for an hour. They're always running behind. I mean, it's a service on a level that you really don't get in most service industries. So that would be the big thing. Charge what you're worth. Don't apologize for it. If the client who sees the value is going to see the value, and you're not going to have to work so hard to convince them of it.
And so just a couple of clarifying questions about it. So when you mentioned you're going to look at the bathroom, and then the second, you used the phrase, the second appointment, we're going to go and look at and select all the finishes, but there they're happening consecutively in the same day. So you meet at the house at 12 o'clock and look at the bathroom, and then at 12:30 on your way to the tile store and the hardware store, or no? 4 hours could happen over 2 or 3 days depending on your world.
4 hours could happen, and it usually has to do less with us and more with the client, because they're working, they're running kids through carpool, they're buying groceries. I mean, most people, it is a big request to go to your boss and say, I need to take off 4 hours in the middle of the day tomorrow to go meet with my designer.
Okay. So in your world, it's called VIP day to give it a significance, but it's really 4 hours plus 2 hours behind the scenes. You're looking at about a 6-hour investment for your firm for this project. And it's relevant if it's in one day or over 4 days.
Right. And the truth is that if it's in one day, you're going to get that deliverable the next day. If it's in 4 days, you're going to get the deliverable the day after. So it's not, I guess that is sort of the hidden message in all of this, is not, you're not going to meet with us and in 2 weeks get.
That's critical, right?
It is critical.
That's part of the trigger pulling process for that event. It's true. Yeah. It's like, it's taking somebody who may have a negative connotation of working with a designer as this long drawn out process where they're getting billed hourly for all these things, and who knows if they're really on their phone or doing my design work, and puts it into a very clean, concise, it's either one day or it's 1 hour for 4 days, but it's done the day after we meet. Like, you're going to get your thing. And that's that's a nice punch. It's like an exclamation point at the end of the proposal. And it's like, makes it so somebody can look, even if like one part of if they have a companion, a partner, whatever, if the other half is sort of like, do you really need to pay somebody to help you pick these finishes for the bathroom? Because that happens. That happens.
Right.
You know that you have couples out there where one understands the value or is just frightened enough of picking the wrong things and is really the one with the responsibility to it. And of course, often it is the wife, the woman of the home, who the husband may look and say, I mean, my goodness, just go into Lowe's and pick the stuff, right? And, she's smart enough possibly to understand that it's just not that easy, but I don't know that I need that whole big, drive up in your Jaguar designer to do it for me, right?
Well, you know what it is, and I can tell you why it's like that for most couples, is that one of them is doing the legwork and realizing like, oh my God, I walked into that tile store and there are 50 million tiles and I don't have a clue where to start.
Exactly. And that's also the person that is going to be judged by the finished project. So, right. Everybody's going to come into the house and look at the bathroom, and nobody's going to say your husband did a lousy job on that.
That's exactly right.
So I love that. And that means that she can, I feel like as a consumer, I could look at a reticent spouse that is really like, are you kidding me with this? It's like, look, I'm doing this. I'm going to do it on Tuesday. By Wednesday, I'm going to have the list. I'd probably even take the half a day off of work and just make it happen.
You know what? I would too.
Yeah.
For me,
let's just do it.
Again, I am everyone's ideal client.
Yeah.
So if my designer says to me, the best thing to do would be to use these 4 hours consecutively in one day.
Clear the decks. Exactly. Right. But I think that's very good. And I think that's extremely interesting. I'm not often surprised at prices, I have to say. I think there's not a question that it's worth that value, but that I think is very eye-opening that you are charging that enough money for it, that amount of money for it. And so what that says to me is that you really are delivering, that you are really very, and that is the other part of it. That is the other part of working in the luxury market. And even though this is a VIP day and it's not anywhere near your 15-step process, it's clear with that price tag that you're still targeting the luxury market with that VIP day, because there are busy people like you and like me. I'm your ideal client too. Just, can we do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need the most amazing, perfect, run to the ends of the earth, find a lamp that was custom made for me. Just find me a darn good looking lamp. Okay. And
I know
move on.
exactly what it cracks me up, because I've had people say, oh, well, my friend had her Calcutta marble flown in from Italy. And I'm like,
whatever.
It all comes in from Italy. What are you talking about? Like, why would somebody even why is that a distinction? It's all coming from somewhere not in America. So I don't understand why that's
It's not, we didn't raise it here in Louisiana. So
no, I'm like, certainly not. What we raise here is cypress knees and cotton, and that's pretty much it.
That's it. Well, I have to say, great information. I just think there's so much for your contemporaries, people in business 10 and 15 years to relate to and maybe tweak and have a little eye opener about some of the things that they're doing in their business, and so much for the younger designer to hang on to and to sink their teeth into and aspire to, and really know that it can be done. And maybe somebody's VIP day, if you're in business, 3 years, is going to be $600. That's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine.
I would like to leave one little last nugget with the listeners, because this is one thing that I think has become very clear to me in probably the last 3 years. So a friend of mine had a baby, and I went to visit her in the hospital, like while she was still in the hospital. And because I'm a business owner, now I see the world through how every business works. And so I'm sitting in the room with her, and I'm watching all of these little people. This person comes in and checks this thing and writes something down on the chart, and then they leave. And then the next person comes in and they check something different and they write something down on a chart. And I thought, you know what? I want to run my business like a hospital. Like, there needs to be a paper trail for every decision that's made. I cannot stress that enough. You have to document every single thing that happens in your firm. And yes, it does create a lot of paperwork, and most of our paperwork is not even really paper anymore. It's digital. However, you need to recap every conversation. You need to do it in a document that is an attachment to your client, because you need to email that client and say, just to make sure and recap our conversation from today, this is what we discussed. These were the options that we talked about, and the decision we made was X. Email me back and let me know that that's right.
Yes.
You have to, because you will run into clients that kind of go off the rails. I mean, it's not a perfect process. And so when it comes to that point where if you're like, okay, we've got to break up with these people because this is like, we can't do this anymore, you're going to need to tell them specific reasons why.
Right.
Because there are going to be some people who go, well, why? It's just not working anymore. I am a big believer in, I don't like to go in and say, oh, we just took on a really huge project. That's not fair.
Right.
If they were there first, it's not fair for you to bump someone because you took on a bigger, that's not cool. I think it's very ethical and beneficial for both parties for you to keep records and documents on every single thing. Every activity that your firm does that the client doesn't even know about, somebody needs to be, we keep a Google Doc that's a live Google Doc that we have our tasks assigned on, and everyone who works on a project will go in and comment, this task completed such and such date by whoever. You have to document all of that, because the truth is that if it ever is the reverse and the client wants to break up with you,
right,
and they want to say, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do this and you didn't do this, you can go, actually, we did. Here's our paper trail. Here are all the dates that we did X, Y, and Z, and we emailed this to you this day and we never heard back from you. Right. So that would be, charge what you're worth. Don't apologize for it. But for your own sanity and for the sake of keeping your business in business, document. Find a great attorney. You don't have to go out and hire the biggest firm. I kind of did because I wanted to intimidate people. but get an excellent law firm, keep them on retainer, ask them every question that you have ask them everything. That's what they're doing. That's not your wheelhouse. You don't know the law. Your client probably doesn't know the law. People will threaten to sue you. I mean, that's definitely happened for us. That's scary for someone who's a small business to hear, I'm going to have to sue you over this. You're like, what is happening? You're going to sue me? Oh my God. I remember one time Toby even said, you have not been in business until you've been sued. And I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, please don't ever let that happen, because I could not, you'd have to commit me to a mental institution. So that can't happen. But the way you don't allow that to happen, document everything, keep records, keep a paper trail. That's why we don't text, because text messages are so much harder to find when you need to.
Right.
Everything needs to be an email chain. Everything needs to be, you've got to have signatures. You can't ever send something out to bid without the client saying, yes, we agree, this is the design and this is what we want. Their signature has got to be on it.
Right.
So run it like a business. That's all I can say. Run it like a business. Run it like your life depends on it, because it does.
I love it. Amazing. You are something else. You're one smart lady over there, Rachel.
Thank you. I try. We call that a spitfire in the South.
Oh yeah. No, awesome. I have to say, your PR rep said she tells it like it is. She is right.
Give them a lot of things. That's Wall Von Enck. It's Kayla Wall and Brendan Von Enck. They're wonderful, and I've been working with them for about 2 years. And that's the other thing. thing to this equation is you will at some point, if you're, if you follow the advice that you get from this podcast, you will grow and you will want bigger opportunities. And that's a function of our business that we could not do without their help. I don't have time to pitch projects to magazines, and I don't have time to pitch myself to, and the truth of the matter is I don't like to do it.
You're a
Even
designer.
I'm a designer, and as much as I am a spitfire and as much as I am a tell it like it is, the minute you ask me like what's special about you, I'm like, oh geez, I don't know. So
no, it's the truth is you're, as you said, you're your ideal client. You hire the experts to do what they do and you stay in your lane and do what you do. Love it.
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough. I really, 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 really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm 100% certain that it's going to be valuable to our colleagues. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much.
Two of my favorite takeaways from this episode. All right. First of all, I'm going to say there were several, but I'm going to restrict it to two. The first is that Rachel has learned that by following a specific process for each of the type of services that she offers, that she increases her productivity, which increase her profits. Yay, Rachel. Love that. Okay. And I have to say, we all kind of know that intellectually, right? I mean, that is what we talk about, ad nauseum on the podcast. But have you sat down yet and created your process? Have you written it down? Have you really got yourself streamlined? Because when you do, you will be more productive. And when you are more productive, you will make more money. It's as simple as that. Okay. The other thing is that Rachel said, you cannot compete on price. Okay. You hear that? You cannot compete on price. This is a huge lesson in sales. When you have a client who is only reciting your price against someone else's price as the objection, then that means that this client has no idea what makes you different from the other designer that they are considering. And you know what that means? That means you have not done your job in conveying what makes you different. Okay. The client doesn't understand what you bring to the table that sets you apart. Otherwise, they would not be talking about price. Okay. So here's the thing. Rachel is very clear. She hammers on her quote structured process. She hammers on quote details in advance, and she hammers on design quote delivered with no excuses. Okay. Do you think that attracts a certain client? Oh, yes, it does. It definitely does. And guess what? It attracts the exact kind of client that she wants to work with. So her day is very happy, filled with people who want no nonsense, straight up, let's get it done, move on, get out next out of the lane, and let's do another one. Okay. So what's the lesson here? The lesson is what speaks to you? What kind of process, what kind of design, like what is the day like? What is your ideal client like? What does that look like to you? So for Rachel, it's very crisp, it's very organized, it's very structured. That's what hers is. What's yours? It could be completely opposite. You could love nothing more than wandering vintage, markets with clients, or I don't know, wandering the design center with your client. I mean, I don't know, because my brain doesn't click that way. Like I click like Rachel, so it's hard for me to get out of it and go somewhere else. But be you, okay? That's it. Be you. Be really who you are. Figure out what it is that you love to do. Why do you love to do design? What is it about the design that you love? And then convey that, because that's how you attract your ideal client to you. And that's how you have a really fun working life, because you're doing the things you like in the way that you like it. Okay. All right. I also have to mention that, how could I not mention this? When Rachel was talking about her one week room rescue, I couldn't help but think of how convenient that if you were a Kravet client, this could be for you, because we all know that Kravet has a wide selection of sofas, chairs, rugs, lamps, and accessories that are all ready in stock and can be delivered to your client in days, not weeks and not months. We're talking high quality custom furniture accessories, rugs, bedding, all delivered in days, not weeks, not months. Okay. And the other thing is, if you have heard that they have a brand new website over at Kravit Inc. and they have a new offer for listeners of the podcast. Okay. So previously you could get 10% off any one purchase from curatedkravit.com. Now, as a listener of the podcast, you can get 10% off any Kravit fabric, wallpaper, or trim order. Okay. So any one order of Kravit fabric, wallpaper, or trim. Just head over to their brand new website and use the code AWDB10. AWDB10, a well-designed business 10, right? Okay, well-designed business 10% off. Easy to remember. Alrighty. Now, it's looking pretty solid that I will be at High Point Market this April 2018, spring 2018. And right now, I'm in process with both Kravit and Mydoma to see what and where I will be and what I will be doing. So it's very possible that the details are too late to be announced here on the podcast, depending on my recording schedule. So you need to do 3 things. You need to be sure that you're on my mailing list. Okay, so to do that, text the word Design Biz, DESIGNBIZ, to the number 444999. Okay, because I will definitely announce it in my weekly newsletter email where and when I will be at High Point. And then the other way to know what's going on is to follow me at Instagram at Luann Nigara and on Facebook at A Well Designed Business. All right. So please make sure you are looking to see what I will be doing and where I will be. All righty. Want to see you. Make sure you introduce yourself to me. Okay. All right. Now, don't just turn the podcast off. Take a minute. Think about the one thing you learned from today's show and decide to do something. Okay? Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.